drum. you're coming in. It's so funny, like imagine like you find a place, you build it out, you build a ranch, you toil the land, you haul wood on a boat, you build a bridge, people start coming, buying property, developing the island, you're like happy, and then one day, you know, the state or the province wants to come and inspect you, and they're coming in to inspect you only because you built the bridge. You built the bridge. Well, before you come, you better inspect that bridge. It may not be safe for you to cross. Before you inspect me, you better inspect that bridge. Stuff for like the lab so we can basically maybe come up with a song later on. This is all rough. This isn't at all. those drums can be annoying. Not because the drums are annoying, because it's a preset garbage drums, same rhythm. You can't. You know what I'm saying? best with my new microphone. I'll tell you right. Kind of funky. I'm sorry. I'm like being hard on myself. Not the best session of improvisation with my new microphone. I finally got the microphone. You know, there's something about poverty or like not having the means, and you're like, and then you get the tool and you're like, man, okay. And you're like, oh, I got the microphone, and I'm like, build up all this pressure in your head, and you're like, I just gotta get used to the fact that I got like, you know, I'm not like the toothless blues man on the porch. I got like a microphone connected to my well-kept secret phone. So if the image is crisper tonight and the sound is good but the music isn't, it's like, okay. Plus, I have a lot of people like constantly like attacking me, like telling me I'm a piece of shit, and I don't have my act together, and all forgetting like I'm you know, I'm gonna be open. People are like, oh, you should be posting, and you're like, you know, I want this to be like a no, absolutely not, absolutely not. Sorry, you've been interrupting all along. Please go away, do your thing. Thank you. No, you have me all day, and enough is enough. With the sugar and shit, can't do it, Atlas. And I'm alone with my son. You know, like this is the only time I have where I close the door, he can watch his TV shows or whatever it is on the internet. I know what he's watching. I can hear it. And that's it. This is the only time, like once or twice during the week, I can, you know, improve this passion I have. And I'm not from this country. And just, you know, people are like, shouldn't post so much. It's like, I want this to be documented. I've done everything that I can, which is absolutely absurd, to with regard to what's been going on for millennia, raising a child. And there was a line that I would cross to, literally, I guess, to go do a very limited part of my potential, because I could teach, I could do all sorts of things, and I would come in to the U.S. and I would do that, and I attracted somebody, and I was at that point in my life where I wanted to, you know, leave Canada and be in a place where I was not going to be discriminated against for being a white English male. In Canada, I was discriminated because I was a white English male that came from an area where the French lived, and they didn't like the English or whatever. That was the reputation. And so I was seen as like kind of like a treasonous turncoat, whatever it is to their. And you know, you're born into this stuff, and you're like, and you go through your whole life, and you go to another country where you're just like, oh, I just disappear. I'm just one of them. And you finally realize how much racism you were going through. And my talent got me there, and I had some opportunities, built a company, and attracted somebody, and I felt really in love. And you know, it was kind of neglected, and it was kind of taken advantage that I had this yearly paper. And then something happened during the Biden administration. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know that there was something nefarious that happened. And anyways, so this went on, and I don't want to get into the privates, but you know, like, it's really scary, especially like married for 8 years, didn't get any real support on that aspect, and I don't want to get into it, but I'm into it. I had a person that I don't have to let people in my life, but and people are like, oh, you shouldn't be posting stuff on Instagram. I was like, well, what if I die? My son is 6 years old, going on 7 shortly. You know, his brain isn't fully formed to actually like understand and appreciate what's going on. Instagram offers an amazing opportunity for me to provide a diary if something should happen, and also to the world. And it's kind of like an accounting of, well, this is what happened to him when he did his, his paintings that looked more realistic as a flat Earth than a round Earth. And he pointed out the round Earth images were paintings, and this is the guy, and he did this thing and this art project. And I got attacked. And I got people coming up to me and said, you owe me because I lost all my friends and my family turned on me and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's like, well, I owe you because of an art project that I did. Let's call it that apparently was a modern day taboo, saying the Earth is not a globe, and actually having some pretty strong points. And that was the curated art event for me as an artist in this world. In this world, not of it, in this world. And voila. And I speak Spanish now as a result, and I'm fully fluent in French and English. And, I have a pedigree that I think is out of this world. And you know it, and everybody else knows it, and old people know it, and young people know it. And it's really unfortunate and unfair that I inspired so much economy in the United States with painting floors and working with epoxy and creating that fad. I'm time-stamped on that too. And never being able to fully go out and exploit that because I didn't have that paper. And yet I had to see everybody just steal it because I was an open book, And I was trying to impress, hey, look what I'm doing. When it comes to the flat Earth, there was a lot of money that changed hands. Either a pint at a pub debating it, or advertising on YouTube, or somebody selling a new compass or telescope or board game or book or documentary or film, or just airtime with reporters talking to the president of the National Basketball Association concerning his basketball players that are causing an uproar because they're saying, the Earth is not a globe at the very minimum, the way it looks. And every reporter on salary asking questions, and it goes on and on and on, and the movie's trying to contain me and trying to put me in a little box to try to stop my project, which was basically, look at what you're looking at, and understand that you have a lot of things that you see on a screen, and you see the Earth round every day on a screen. Doesn't matter if it's round or if it's you can't prove it's round outside, or you can't see, or it looks flat but it's actually round. That's not the point. The point of the matter is that every day when you look out at the ocean, you don't see a curve. When you walk in the desert, you're not seeing a round Earth. You're not seeing a round Earth ever. The only time you see a round Earth is a page in a book, a poster, or on a phone screen, TV screen, or computer screen. When you look out every day, you will never see a globe, except as an image for a bank, or an association, or on a screen, or the beginning of a movie, on a screen, on a flat surface, you will see a globe that you three-dimensionalize and that you've never seen. And off TV, you never seen a globe. Except that toy thing that you have to spin. Okay? And that brings you down to earth, doesn't it? Brings you down to reality. And whether or not I'm wrong, or whether or not I'm right, or whether or not the earth is round or flat, what I've just stated is true. And I knew that I would prove that this was the greatest taboo. And a blasphemy. But blasphemy is reserved only for religion, right? Now, they've never gone to the point where it's saying it's blasphemous, but people have said that. But officially, like presidents and stuff like that, because they would be stating that the globalism and the globe and the earth being round is a religion. So you need a mental health checkup. You got a mental health crisis. You're crazy. You're an extremist, like Justin Trudeau said. It's like, listen, man, I'm not an astronaut, and I don't want to be one. I've already applied in 2012, submitted my candidacy to go up in the first civilian SpaceX rocket. I believe the most votes, and they said in small print they reserve the right to not put anybody in space. This is a contest for entertainment purposes. It's small print. And I called them out on that. I put it on my YouTube channel. I almost went into an RFK. It's sort of talking. But the only time you've seen a round horizon or Earth is on a screen. And every day you go, well, I've never seen, you can't prove it. It's like, well, I can prove that every time you go out and you look at an area where there's no mountains, like the ocean, like you're seeing it flat every day. I don't need images. I don't need to go. My statement is that every time you go, and I said it over and over again with a smile and smug and be funny, and I wanted to just see at what point it would trigger this religious zealotry, this reaction, this tantrum. We have to stop them, this extremism. And we're at that point. And so I proved my point. And some people are like, well, you proved your point, and you also ruined your life, and you'll never see your son. And we're like, booting you out of the country. And you happy now? You chose that. It's like, it's not anything abnormal what I said. You need to go up there, okay? And I need to go up there, or I need to go myself in a certain way. The 60th latitude, southern latitude, and the 60th north, 2 teams, and we should be clocking in at the same longitude if we're moving at the same speed. Or 6 different teams, not on one side of Antarctica, but on the other side where nobody comes in from. Okay? The other 50%. There should be 3 teams coming in from 3 different trajectories, and then 3 on the side that everybody comes in on. And we all, not the South Pole, they say is the South Pole, but the geographical center of the size of that continent, and we should all meet there and then go out in a straight line. And that is to my satisfaction as an artist that started this. And, what's he's doing? So okay, get in here. And they got all these people in on YouTube when no one was around to be, I got this. I'm going to do an expedition. I'm going to set up a weather balloon. I'm going to get a laser. And then lots of traction, algorithms all promoting them. And then I start to disappear. And at the same time, they're incubating this narrative of these maps they're coming up with and the earth being flat. And they're totally robbing me of my documentary film, my sci-fi film, my event, my masterpiece, my opus, and they just robbed it from me. And that says a lot, unfortunately. And and this is a diary for me. For you, you're addicted to it. For me, it's like I have no car. I'm here waiting for somebody to say, you can go out and work and you can feed your son. And you can stay here. And I got a boy, you know what I mean? And you go, well, what about I don't want to talk about that. That's not what we're talking about right now. But to have some kid that, because I'm an open book, come out here and, who works cutting pot, tell me my life is in shambles, and it's incredible to see the audacity that, the struggle that I've gone through because of that. And I'd like to see anybody else try to do what I did. And have a beautiful boy come out the other side, and every day fight to keep him smart and keep him healthy. And actually develop like this system with these different colored clays after, using one color of the same breed of clay since 2001 secretly for myself. And then I'm tapping this huge thing while they're forcing junk science and snake oil on humanity. And that as well was an open book and recorded it. And the reason why is because there's nothing unstable or crazy about anything I've done here. Done comedy, you've watched me learn the guitar, and you've watched me paint, and you watched some real heartache happen here. And for me, Instagram is my it's 60% of what I want to say, but I can't. 70% of my diary for my son and for the world to see. This is what happens when you notice something as an artist about artwork that was passing itself off as photographic evidence. And that goes from drawing DNA, a strand of DNA, to the COVID-19 virus image, okay, that the world saw the world over, and as much as the globe, and like Italy on a map, like you saw COVID-19, that's the virus. No, it's not. Okay? And that drawing was mind control, as far as I'm concerned. It was full on meet the new boss, same as the old boss. It was like globalism with little pizza spikes, and like those little like red slices of pizza on a globe. And it was like, it just felt to me like a tantrum that wanted to shut down discourse, existential philosophical discourse on how we're going to measure real life and reality as we move forward into artificial synthetic humans being produced in factories, and imagery that is so hyper realistic you wouldn't know if it's a film or a special effect or it's actually a camera on a real life event. And I'm so glad that I crowbarred like this topic before we went into this deep sleep where we would have our eyes open to detect what's AI and what's real. And I was a political scientist, and I was an artist and a painter. And I was under attack, and I noticed that there was a serious It was a serious situation with the way I was noticing a campaign. It was a marshaled campaign of many cutout, I would say, crisis actors that showed up on YouTube, all pretending they didn't know each other. And I said, these sons of bitches stealing my work and my talking points all end up having a conference together, then this was a massive campaign. A conference where they don't invite me and sell tickets for my jargon. And they did. And I called that all out. And again, this is just picture of the earth, like so many times a day. It's like that's a cartoon. And 8 years ago. Huh? You're out of your mind. I was like, no, that's a painting. Okay? I mean, this is a little more obvious there. Okay? Duck on water there. I mean, I show you a piece of it and then you could tell, but you put it all together, your brain, you know. The only thing I think that could top that is I write the book. And you get to hear, you get to see everything. What I was going through, what was going on. And I will do the book. The American Flat Earther. And it's not what you think. And that was what I was going to do. Anyways, with images and paintings and stuff like that. And but it's incredible to see people lecture me. And don't have a child, don't have the foreign status, don't have the guests, don't have like the the amount of like trolls and like checkered, suspicious, you know, people coming into our real life, undermining my wife, my son, playing on, you know, our emotional issues of, you know, all sorts of stuff, and then there's just the regular day people that are already too close. They have to be, you know, because they're neighbors or family, and they're jealous. And some of these people, like, they go on Google and they type in their name and nothing shows up and they're pissed off. And then they type in my name and they're like, this guy's fucking all this, that. And it's like, I just, you know, I never think of it that way. It's just like, sometimes I think about it'd be great if it was erased. You know what I mean? And I don't like that either, because then it's like, okay, now that we got rid of all the evidence, now we're going to get rid of you. And that's the big fear here, is that I need to stay like visible, you know, and be on this in case something comes barging through, or, you know, there's a red laser on my face. I mean, like, I try to because I'm alone here, right? And RFK Jr. came out and said that was poison. It's like, oh, okay, wow. Still ruined our life and our economy, and, you know, like, I wouldn't say my son was damaged, but I would say, because we were in Mexico and I was able to counterbalance it with comedy and logic and confronting people when they would try to treat me like a slave, and it's never stopped with me. I'm still, you know, in lockdown. I have all this clay ready to go out if you want some. I'm selling it by the gram now, so if you don't have money, you know, like, I got $20 and I'll pay for the shipping, then I'll send you, you know, like, you know, 300 grams or something, 200 grams. And it's amazing. It's everything I did was real, and it's like works. I can build a home with the clay. I can, like, brush my teeth with it, shampoo. The Flat Earth Odyssey led me to the clay. I found out about clay while I was healing from an ear. I found out about it way before even Flat Earth almost. It was pretty much the same time when I was doing floors. And I was doing floors. So, I mean, like, oh, Flat Earth. This is going to be a great marketing tool. I was not going to let people destroy me and my art by saying, oh, he's stupid. So it's like I painted. I was like, oh, not stupid. Like the flat Earth. Okay, monkey. Like I was like, no, this is going to be completely different than the flat Earth of the 20th century, or the way you guys laugh. Flat Earth. Oh, that's when they thought it was flat. Like this is going to be a massive existential moment. And Justin Trudeau wants me put away, or killed, or suicided, and I'm not disturbed. You've been disturbed, and you've been disturbed because you didn't learn your model of reality enough to defend it against these statements. Whether you go to Antarctica and you see a sun going around or whatever, like you could take a glass bowl and do a flat Earth rotation of the sun, and there'll be a glare down here going around that area. I've seen people do these different experiments. What I'm trying to say is that the maps are off. The size is much bigger. That's a painting. You're not an astronaut, and you don't know your model. And if you say you saw a curve on the ocean, standing at the beach, you can't see a curve if you're a small little thing on a great sphere. Because when you turn around on a sphere, for it to be a sphere, it's the same diameter everywhere you go. Any teacher, any mathematician, any kid knows that. What does that mean? Well, that means that wherever you are on a sphere, you turn around, it's going to appear flat. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson is admitted to that. It's basic math. So if you see a curve at the distance, well, finish your curve. It's a very small cylinder that you're on, and it's in your head. So you're now imposing a mental state on reality, and this is very dangerous for people to have an inclination where they repeat a false narrative of experience onto you by force, like we saw with COVID. And that's why, Justin Trudeau, who is the puppet of Mark Carney, said, they go hand in hand. People who are saying the earth is flat are anti-vaxxers. So, well, I hope that RFK Jr. and Donald Trump are going to audit SpaceX, and NASA certainly has the narrative set up. You're going to make deals to clean things up, like Trump. Yeah, can you believe it? I'm doing the trust the plan thing. All you can do is you hold them to their rhetoric. And I'll tell you right now, like, I so want to do two things. Well, three things. I'd love to be a North American unification strategist for any administration. I would love to consult on military intervention in Canada, take down a communist narco state that is a threat to North American values. I know how to do it at the street level, like Quebec, Montreal, and I know that it would be a 2-week operation. Canadians would just roll over because they want to actually secretly be part of the United States. I worked in front of these people, making them laugh. I know exactly what makes them tick and how they take themselves for somebody they're not. And I know how to do this. And I know all about Mexico. And surprisingly, many Mexicans have not traveled their country like I have. And were surprised as to what I was saying and are now witnessing it down there. And they text me every day saying, yeah, you were right about this happening and the president and this and that. And I'd love to also shut down the marijuana industry that's going on right now. They are spraying the plants with lead and lead dust and causing serious psychosis and brain damage in American youth, and the next generation is being irreparably harmed mentally. There's a lot of people out there with brain damage. Dr. Amen has done 170,000 brain scans on the issue since they legalized it. Now, this isn't the Jamaican marijuana from the 70s from Jamaica. They needed facts and evidence in order to conclusively ban marijuana off the face of the earth that it was causing brain damage. So they legalized it, and then they sprayed it with lead, like they did in the fall of Rome, to actually get brain damage to show up on CT scans. And just like lead does, it makes schizophrenic flip-outs and tantrums, withdrawal, dementia, brain swelling, psychosis, paranoia, irrational thoughts, and it has done that. And now they have the evidence that marijuana causes brain damage. The fake marijuana, like the ones that damage has been done. And I would love to, provide any kind of scholarly, academic research support on the matter, even repairing brains with clay, like covering the scalp and clay therapies. And getting all that money and paying off the U.S. debt. Game's over. Stuff has caused a lot of brain damage. And the truth is going to have to come out that they've been spraying the plants with not colloidal silver, nano silver. That was a cover. Why would you take a precious metal and spray it on pot so people could smoke it? Come on. Total bullshit cover for lead. That too is going to come out. And that's the next thing that, not many people want to do it because they want to get high. They want to smoke their state government, lead-laden pot, and have it exposed to, younger generation children. And they don't want to stop the party because they don't like the withdrawal and, the anxiety that comes with not smoking pot for 10, 11 days. And you should try it. You should try quitting pot. See how you feel. Kind of like what somebody said to me recently about, like, you should quit your Instagram. See how you feel. It's like, and then basically just not make any money, not push the research of the clay out, not improve my skills, and not have an outlet for my passion. It was just like, it was incredible to, again, open myself up to a fan or somebody out there who offered to help me come out here and wanted to work, under me apparently. But apparently, no, this person is good to go. They don't need me. They've got their priorities in check. And I'd love to close all all those little grow ops down, and it's happening right now. What they did is they basically got marijuana legalized in the U.S., and these people would have their grow op and then pay their employees and just have a cover. Then they would go get the pot from the illegal grow op with illegal immigrants doing the cutting and trimming, and they would sell that in the dispensaries. So they'd make even more money because the costs being reduced. And they would have their legal operation for show. This is what's been going on. And it's going to be exposed, just like COVID. And that's going to be interesting to watch. It's Schedule 1 at the federal level. Like, I understand it's not the big deal, like pot and all this, but poisoning the pot with lead to create mental instability and anxiety and withdrawals and aggressive people, it's a big deal. And it's unfortunate, and but this happened. This is happening. I don't know what percentage, but from what I've seen, when people are not on their pot, that get their like stuff from the dispensary, the ones who can't control themselves and are inclined to addiction, they're not moderate at all. They're having the same mental issues. I've seen this, and I don't want to say names, but there's a lot of people that like to smoke their catnip, and they get it from their place, and they get a job because they want to be close to the source, kind of like a slave on coke to build the pyramid. Except this pyramid's going to crash, and it should. It should. So, especially after getting a lecture on my life being in shambles by, somebody who lives off, growing dope. I don't want my son to grow up in that kind of world, like in Canada, and that's another reason why Canada needs to be dealt with. I mean, people go, "Oh, you're crazy," like with your face full of like, with what? My face like with no wrinkles now. I only have the VHS filter on my face tonight, so it's not like Yeah, I have a filter on. I have a filter on. I have the whatchamacallit, the VHS cassette filter. But this all here, this all tightened up, and that was the complementary effect. That was the red and yellow. Hawaiian!
probably add a note here and there. But
And then some people say, what are you doing, man? I'm doing my diary. I'm going to tell you how you can get some clay instead of poison. I'm going to tell you the poison they're planning that you think is a solution. And I'm going to rebuild my fingers, improve my hearing using sound, which is now finally coming out that that's how you return your hearing, is you use sound. And I'm going to connect with people in whatever way I can out here in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to raise my son. I'm going to take off my jacket. And I'm going to wait here for Andrew Tate to walk through that door and go, all right, time to do this. Wait, so you want to fight me? I heard you want to do imitations of me. Well, then that means you're going to have to fight me. Just like the movie Face Off with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. What? Face Off! Pete the Greek says hi. So, you think it's funny? I've taken all my minerals. Minerals. He's taken all his minerals, not minerals. Minerals. What's funny about that? You want to go? You think you're a man? You think you're tough enough to take me? Mr. Andrew Tate. I'll show you, Mr. Powerland. Show me what? That the owners of the MMA and the UFC are gay. Okay, sorry. Benjamin Owen, you're stealing my jokes all the time. That was my joke, by the way. But that's that. I was saying that in the first one. When you do look at UFC, and that's like, that's probably domestic violence in a gay household. It's like that's the way it would look. That's why these guys bought it. So just saying, start your own UFC. And I don't want to be like homophobic. Like they, you gotta understand. Like a gay guy now controls the entire United States. Peter Thiel, which is rearranged letters. That's the reptile. So you know what I mean? Like you can't. You gotta watch out for these people. I don't even want to be dealing with having to appeal. I can't believe that I'm on this earth. I have a real boy here that I love, and that he's my son. I want to raise him in a normal way, and there's so many intrusions, moral intrusions, and drama and trauma and fiction that is blocking, and regulations that is just blocking men from thriving so they can protect and provide for their family. And it's just, the world is being run by a bunch of people in suits that are not out there coming up with anything that's truly original. And it's just, these people are all like laughing at everyone. And human life is expendable. And me as an artist, I did a project. Well, first off, like, how do you wake up? Well, like, how many images you've never seen rule your mind? How much of your reality is from a TV screen? And, or your ideas are not your own. And Flat Earth was like the Daddy? Yeah, hold on a second, was the opening of the discussion about your mind. And how much have you experienced of reality? Anyways, and it led me to some real stuff, like the clay. It's not a joke, man. I'm going to go put some on my feet because I have a sore back, and basically pulls out all the toxins through the feet, like the onions that you tape to yourself. I did that as well, but the clay was far more efficient. I woke up this morning, I could walk, I didn't have any problems. And it's like you get dragged down with all the drama of these psychos that are never going to go fight their own wars. And you forget about the clay and how it's like wonderful, and it just does everything. I'm gonna take a bath. And I'm gonna put my clay on. So you guys have a great evening. Talk to you soon. And yeah, it looks like here I am talking about gay people, and I totally look like I have makeup on my face with this filter. And anyways, I'll take a photo after. Let me do a before and after right now, so you can see the filter. It's gonna let me take a freaking photo. Okay, so there we go. So I'll do it with the way I look after, without this filter, so you can see how wonderful the clay is. It really is regenerating the cells. And Brian Johnson, one of that gang, took off. He couldn't hack it in the kitchen of reverse aging, and he shouldn't have been another one stealing my talking points, reverse aging, optimal cell expression, just trying to cash in on what I was starting with the clay. Go and subscribe at Math Power Clay. Email me at powerclay@proton.me, ccmathpowerland@gmail.com, and get yourself a photo or painting shirt. The link's in this bio. Walk around, find your kind. You'd be surprised how many people are out there that are going to come up to you, and you're going to have like a loyal friend for life. We hope, as long as they're not, battling addiction and pissed off that you're like not on the pot train. But I have to tell you what I think has been going on, and it was all to fulfill a narrative about pot damaging the brain. And they damaged brains. And Trump's got a whole franchise of mental asylums with Trump on the marquee, ready to scoop these people up. And he probably should, because a lot of them are exhibiting signs of psychosis and will be a danger for a period. Talk to you soon. And let's clay. Email me. Yeah, what is it, Atlas? What is it, buddy? You gotta stop. You're going a little too crazy with the clay here. Yeah, hold on. Let me get the door open here. Yeah, Daddy likes to go until he gets one song out. And that was the first night I had my microphone. What's going on? What are you doing with the clay? What's going on? You're not eating the clay, right? Take a break from eating the clay. What do you want to do here?
There's baking soda. I don't know if baking soda is...
No, baking soda, you don't just use it, okay? You don't just start doing stuff and swirling stuff, okay? Don't do that. Please stop. Some of these things are big chemicals. You don't use them just all the time. What's going on, buddy?
I did mix it up with
You're not drinking the baking soda, are you?
No.
Okay.
How do I drink? I was just...
Okay, what are you putting the baking soda on?
The clay?
Okay, but why?
I don't know.
You're doing experiments? Okay, but I don't want you to waste my clay. I don't have much of that great clay. Chemistry.
Yeah, but I actually dumped it. So I did put it on my chin. I don't know if baking soda...
Okay, what's wrong? Why are you putting stuff on you?
I'm
What's wrong?
scared of ticks.
Okay, Atlas. The tick thing, you need to let it go. Okay? Because your mother's going to think that that movie harmed you, and then I'm going to get in trouble. Okay? That movie was a movie. And let me tell you something.
Yeah,
Yeah. That boy in the movie, okay, was vaccinated. So that vaccine, he's already going to get injured. Here's the deal, Atlas. You're one of the few people in the world that has your natural power. Because mommy and daddy, we fought for you not to have a vaccine. That's what COVID-19. You know what the government said today?
What?
gonna show you. We're gonna go on. You're not gonna believe this.
What is it?
No, you're gonna. No, I want you to hear it. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear what the government said today. Okay.
I'm scared I have to take it